All right, you guys. So under today's module, you have some PowerPoint notes that you can go over. You have the pH calculations buddy, which I'll be using to show you guys your example. And then you have the examples that I'm going to do with you guys in class, so you don't have to write them down. They're posted here on the module. And then you have your assignment, okay, which will be like the examples that we go over. On your assignment, you're going to have 10 problems with 2 chances on that assignment, okay? So what I want to do now is I want to go over the examples that are posted here in your module. We've been learning about acids and bases and the pH scale. And these calculations, we're calculating either the pH or the pOH. We're calculating either the concentration of an acid or the concentration of a base, okay? And so the chart that we're going to use, it is posted on your module as a buddy. This chart has all of the equations that you're going to need, okay? So there's 8 different equations, and it just depends on what they give you and what you're trying to figure out. So if you know what the pH is and you're trying to figure out the pOH, you're knowing this and you're trying to get to this, right? So you're going in this direction. You're going to go this way. You're going to use this arrow's equation, 14 minus the pH, okay? If you know the pOH and you're trying to figure out the OH, you're going to be going in the upward direction. And so you would use this equation, 10 raised to the negative pOH, okay? For instance, if you're going from here to here, you can go down and across, or you can go across and down, okay? So there's different sets of equations that you can use depending on what information you're starting with and what information you're trying to end up with from the question, okay? So we're going to do 10 examples so you can get familiar with using that chart. Okay, so on the first one here, the first thing that you have to do is you have to figure out what information they're giving you and what information they're asking you to find. So I like to do this process, and I suggest you do the same process whenever you're doing your own assignment, is look at the question. What is the pH? What is the H? Calculate the pH. What is the pH? What is the pOH? These are the things that you're trying to get to. You're trying to figure them out. So they are going to be at the end of your arrow. What is the pH? I'm trying to get to the H. Okay, I'm trying to get to the pH. Okay, so just do the same process whenever you have your assignment. Okay. Okay, so once you have all that done, you need to figure out where you're starting. What information are they giving you to start with so you can get to that next step, okay? And so that's when you look at the rest of the question. Anytime you see molarity, this is going to be the concentration of. Those little brackets mean the concentration of. So on your chart, it's either going to be the concentration of an H or the concentration of OH. Okay, if it's H, this is an acid. If it's OH, this is a base. Okay, so remember in the formula, if you see an H all by itself, it's an acid. If you see OH together, that means that it's a base. So that's how you can tell on your formulas. So if we look at this formula right here, it's just an H by itself, not an OH together. So that means that this is an acid. So I'm given the concentration of an acid. Okay, remember that's the H positive. Okay, so that's where I'm starting on my chart. I'm starting at H positive. This is what I know, and this is what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so what do I know here? I know the pH is 5.40. So I'm starting with pH, and I'm trying to figure out the H. On number 3, you see molarity. So this is a concentration. Is it a concentration of an acid or a base? Is it H or OH? Well, if you look, they tell you it's an acid. Okay, so that's going to be an H. Right here, they're giving me the concentration again. Is it of an acid or a base? Do you see H or OH? It's just an H, right? So this is an acid, which means it's going to be H positive, okay? As we're reading, this one gives us the pH. This one gives us a concentration of an OH, which is a base. Okay, so that's going to be the OH concentration. This one is giving us the concentration of, again, an OH, which is a base. So that's how you can tell when you're looking at chemical formulas if something's an acid or a base. Is it just an H by itself, or is it OH? And that's an acid, just an H. OH is a base. And so that's how you know if you're starting here or if you're starting here. Okay. If we keep going, they give us the molarity, which is the concentration, and it tells us that it's of a base. So this is going to be the OH. Here they're giving us a POH. And here they're giving us the pH. Okay. So that is like the most important step that you can do, is figure out your pathway. The equations and calculations, it's easy. You just type them into the calculator, but you have to figure out which pathway you're taking in order to get those examples, the equations. So let's start with the first one. We're going from H to pH. So on your little chart, we are literally starting here and we're traveling to pH, which means we're going down in the downward direction. So you're going to follow the downward arrow and you're going to use this equation, which is the negative log. Okay. So it's the negative log of the concentration of H. Well, the concentration is 0.25. Okay. So we're going to do all the setups and then we'll go back and actually calculate them. I'll show you how to calculate. On this one, we're going from pH to H. So we're going up. We're going from here to here. So you're going to use this equation, 10 raised to the negative pH. So 10 raised to the negative, the pH they give us is 5.40. On number 3, we are going from H to pH. So again, we're traveling down. We're going to use the negative log. And then it's of the concentration that they gave you. On number 4, we're doing the same thing, right? So again, it's going to be the negative log. On number 5, we're going from pH to POH. So on your chart, from pH to POH, it's going to be 14 minus the pH. Okay. So 14 minus the pH is 3. Okay. On number 6, we're going from OH to POH. OH down to POH. So you're going to take the negative log. Okay. On number 7, we're going from OH to pH. So from here to here. Now, whenever you have a corner to corner, that means you're going to have 2 equations that you have to use. Okay. So we can go down and take the negative log. And then once you have that answer, we can go across and subtract 14 minus that answer to get here. So we're going to use this equation and this equation to get there. So we'll take the negative log of the concentration. And then whatever we get here, we're going to take 14 minus that answer. Okay, on number 8, we're also going from OH to pH, from here to here. Now, last time I showed you how to go down and across, but you could also go a different way. You could go across and then down. So on this one, I'll show you guys how to do that one. If we go across, we're going to use 1 times 10 to the negative 14th and then divide it by the OH, and that gives us the H. Once we have the H, we'll go down, take the negative log of it to get to pH. So this is also a 2-step problem, but this time we're taking the top route. Anytime you can take the bottom route's easier because you just have to subtract from 14. So that's kind of easier than doing all this other stuff. But I do want to show you how to use these equations. Okay, so we're going to do this one and then that one. So it's 1 times 10 to the negative 14th divided by the concentration. And then whatever we get here, we're going to take the negative log of that same answer. Okay. On number 9, we're going from POH to OH. From here up to here. So we're going to use this equation. 10 raised to the negative POH. The POH is 6. Okay. And then right here, pH to OH. So pH to OH, this is a corner to corner, which means you're going to have to use 2 equations to get there. And anytime you can take the bottom route, that's easier than going the top way. So we're going to go across. We're going to subtract from 14 first. Whatever you get here, we're going to go up and raise it to 10 raised to the negative of that answer. Okay. So we'll do 14 minus 12.5. Whatever I get here, I'm going to do 10 raised to the negative of that. Okay, so those are your 2-step problems. Now, it depends on which calculator you're using in order to, you know, plug in the numbers. So I want to show you different ways to do this. Okay, if you're going to use the online calculator that we've been using in class, I'll show you how to do it on there. I have an iPhone, so I can show you how to do it on the iPhone. I'm not so sure about Android, so hopefully it's kind of the same and you'll be able to figure it out. So if we're using the online calculator, our very first problem is using the negative log. So if you have to calculate the negative log on this calculator, you're actually going to put the subtraction button for the negative, and then you're going to push log and then type in the number. So the first one was 0.25, so you just type it in. And it gives you a lot of numbers, but you only have to give me up to 2 numbers after the decimal point. So like 0.60 would be fine. Okay. On number 2, we're going to take 10 raised to the power of the negative 5.4. If you're using the online calculator, there's our button that says 10 raised to the power of x. So you can just click on that and then type in negative 5.40. Now it gives you your answer not in scientific notation. Your assignment is multiple choice, and the multiple choice answers will be in scientific notation. So you have to go back and remember how to change this into scientific notation. You want your dot to be where there's only one number on the left side. So this is going to be 3.98 times 10 to the negative, and then you count how many times you moved it over to get there. And that's 6 times. So if your calculator doesn't give it to you in scientific notation, just make sure that you don't get confused when you see your assignment. You're like, my answer is not there. Well, it's probably there. It's just in scientific notation, and your calculator didn't put it that way. Okay. So when we go back to our answers, this was 3.98 times 10 to the negative 6. Okay. For number 3, we're taking the negative log. Okay, so again, on the online calculator, you're just going to type, clear that out, negative log, and then type in your number, 0.0036. And we get 2.44, blah, 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 blah. So just give me 2.44. Okay. Now I want to show you how to do it on the iPhone if you're using the iPhone calculator. And like I said, hopefully Android's the same. I don't know. But if you have your normal calculator like this, if you turn it sideways, you'll have your scientific calculator. And so for this one, we're doing the negative log of 0.00036. It's literally backwards, the way that you have to type it in on the iPhone. You type in the number and then log and then the negative. Okay, so for this problem, I would type in 0.00036 and then hit the log button and then the positive negative button up here. And it gives you your answer. So this one is 3.44. So when you're using the online calculator, you type in negative log number. On the iPhone, you type in number log negative. I don't know why, but it's totally backwards. Okay. Now on number 5, you're just subtracting from 14. 14 minus 3, and that's 11. On this one, again, if you're using iPhone, you would type in number log negative. If you're using the calculator online, it's negative log number. Okay. This one comes out to 4.26. This one was a 2-step problem on number 7. Okay. So we're going to take the negative log of this number. It comes out to 4.57, but then we still had to go and subtract 14 minus that answer. So 14 minus the 4.57 gives us 9.43. If we went the other direction, the top route, you would have to use this number divided by the concentration. So let me just remind you guys how to type this into the calculator. If you're using the online calculator, you're going to type 1. The times 10 is the exponent button, the EXP. Okay. And then you have negative 14. You're going to divide by the concentration, which is 0.25, and we get 4 times 10 to the negative 14. Okay, but that's just the first part of our answer here. 4 times 10 to the negative 14. Then you still have to take the negative log of that same number. Okay, so we're going to go back to the calculator, clear it out. We're going to do the negative log of 4 exponent, because that puts the times 10 for you, and then negative 14. Okay, and it gives us 13.40 if you round. But like I said, your answers are multiple choice. So if you don't see like 13.39 there, you see 13.40. It's the same thing. Pick the closest answer. Okay. Now I showed you how to use this on the online calculator. Remember that there's a button that already has the 10 to the X. Okay, so you can just push that right there and then type in your negative 6.0 and it gives you your answer. But again, I'm going to have your answers in scientific notation. Okay, so you have to move the dot over. Now, if you're using your iPhone calculator, the process is a little bit different. You might want to jot this down if you're using the iPhone calculator because it's kind of strange. Okay, so you take it, turn it sideways, and we're doing 10 raised to the power of negative 6. Okay, so you're going to type in the number 10. The little raised to the power is going to be the double E button right here next to the 1. And then we're going to type in the number 6.0 and then hit the negative and enter to get your answer. Now it tells us the answer is 0.00001. Okay. But we are going to put this into scientific notation. Okay, so we're going to be moving this over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, so we're going to end up getting, oh, I missed a 0 there. We're going to end up getting 1 times 10 to the negative 6 for our answer. On the last one, we're subtracting from 14 minus 12.5, so we get 1.5, And then we're going to do 10 raised to the negative 1.5. Okay. So on our calculator, 10, let me clear it out. We have a button for that. 10 raised to the negative 1.5. Okay, and that gives us 0.03. All right. So the actual calculations are not hard because you just type them in, right, to the calculator. But the most difficult part and the part that might trip you up is actually figuring out which pathway you're going to take. Okay, so set this up first, make sure you have that right, and then use your chart to figure out, okay, I'm starting here, I'm going here, and that'll tell you which equations you need to use. Okay. You have your assignment to do. It does have 2 attempts on it. Try it out, ask questions on the ones you missed. That way you don't miss them the second time around. Okay. Good luck, everybody. Go ahead and get started and let me know if you need any help.